Hi everybody, my name is Alex, born and raised in Penang, Malaysia. I've been an expat English teacher in China for over 6 years, and today I'm going to be talking about being yourself. Let's get to it. First of all, let me start by talking about the differences between living in Malaysia and living abroad. To be honest, it wasn't as easy as you think because typically when you're having a bad day at work, your friends from Malaysia will actually make it worse by sending you pictures in WhatsApp on your favorite food, your favorite Malaysian food. So at times you'd be like, oh, nasi lemak, tapi tak boleh makan, right? So that was one. Living abroad has never been more different than living in Malaysia because we were brought up in a cultural melting pot where all the races of all cultures live in harmony, whereas the place that I work in, China, is mostly monocultural. And at times, I would get a lot of weird stares just because I speak English to my coworkers or my friends because they're foreigners. Naturally, we speak English, right? It is weird for an ethnic Chinese like me to be speaking a foreign language in China, apparently. So as time goes by, they learn more and more about Malaysia, and they tend to wonder how me as an overseas Chinese live in a country which preserves all the main ethnic groups' cultures. Because that will mean we will have a lot of differences between our people. And that was the very question which impacted the way I look at the way I look at Malaysia as a country. Because it wasn't what I should think about. I was brought up this way. I took it for granted. And it also made me realize that over the years, Malaysians have actually strived hard and found a common ground in languages and cultures so we can coexist in harmony. I remember the moment when I landed in China. I was so fired up. I just wanted to show the world how Chinese I am and that I can fit in just right in China, right? I even went to the extent of learning their local dialect just to fit in the society. And at that point of time, I was assigned to live with an American friend of mine by the name Doug. He's from Tennessee. And every day we would come back home with very, very different mood. I usually would be thrilled with the experience of living and working abroad, whereas my roommate Doug would constantly be annoyed and shocked because I can understand being a white guy in China. He would get a lot of stares from the local people and at times become very, very uncomfortable, and not to mention that he has the language barrier for them. He cannot communicate with any of them because they don't speak English and he doesn't speak any Chinese. So that's why I understand where the frustration is coming from. And interestingly, when we engage in a deeper conversation, I seem to mostly agree with what the Chinese and foreigners have to think about each other. And it really made me question my gullibility because I tend to nod with every point they make, right? This makes sense and that makes sense, right? That is not very good, really. But until one day, I came to understand that I had been trying to see things from both sides, that I ended up losing my own ground. And I also feel like I've lost a little bit of my identity that way. It really made me think that where we come from and who we really are. We grew up in a nation where when we lock eyes with a stranger, we smile and we nod as a sign of courtesy, which is uncommon in China. It's not because they mean it in a bad way. Maybe they think that it is a natural thing to hold doors open for people and that they can say thank you or say sorry. It's just a natural thing for them. But do I need to follow them whilst I was living in that society? Not really. I still say my thanks. I still say my sorry. Whenever it's needed, I smile to people and nod to people, even when they think that I'm crazy or strange, because that is what really made me who I am as a Malaysian. Well, I served as a teacher throughout my career history. And the one thing I noticed is that we are living in a generation which is ever changing. And by that, I mean in fast pace. So whenever a trend changes, the learning attitude or the learning pattern changes with it. So an educator's job is getting more and more challenging because not only we need to keep up with monitoring the students' progress, we also need to strive hard to keep up with the ever-changing trends so that we don't get outdated. But in all honesty, I don't really overthink about the learning attitudes of the students because I believe that if we can make learning a casual activity, they tend to pick up things faster. One of my ex-academic principals from Singapore by the name Zhang Bing just taught me a very valuable lesson, which is instead of thinking about how the learning attitudes of the students affect our teaching, we should really think about how our teaching method can influence their learning ability or attitude. And that teaching is the art of connecting people, and that is what education is all about. There is nothing more important than being firm and confident with the way you do things, no matter where you are. It was not until when I realized this that I was able to do my job well as a teacher abroad. So I think no matter where you go, you will always carry with you your country's emblem and identity. So that is also what defines you as a person. It was just like what my friend has told me. Kekalkan diri dengan bangsa, budaya, dan minda Malaysia. Dan yang paling penting sekali, saya adalah seorang anak jati Pulau Pinang. Thank you very much.